Hey, what's up YouTubers, and welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts video. This is going to be pretty much just a chill video. I have a pounding headache today, so I'm just going to kind of go through and show you guys my book collection. These are coffee table books, horror, sci-fi, mythology, monster books, stuff like that. I just thought I would try something a little bit different. I've never showed my book collection on YouTube before, so I thought I'd go ahead and give it a shot and see how you guys like it. If there's any book here that I show that you would like to know more about, you can comment below and I will go a little bit more in detail about that. But for the first one here, we'll just start with this Night of the Living Dead box set that was an exclusive to FYE, and this is the 50th anniversary collector's edition Ultimate Fan box set. Comes in this nice hard box. It's really nice. And on the inside you have the graphic novel in a soft cover. And oops. So here's the graphic novel, which is really nice. It has a nice thick glossy pages. There's a gold band around the bottom. It really pops, looks nice. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen this before on YouTube. Many people have it. It's been shown many times in videos. I just want to kind of go through and show you what I have in my collection. It's a really beautiful piece, black and white. And it's probably, I would say it's at least a few hundred pages, maybe. Let's see if it says on the back, 200 to 300, I would say, if I had to guess. It also comes with a commemorative 50th anniversary ticket. Experience the horror in 4K ultra high definition. And this came out in October of 2018. Nice little piece. And it also little bottom portion of the box, it comes with the Blu-ray from Criterion, Night of the Living Dead, the movie from 1968. This one's still sealed. I have this one twice. I purchased the single edition before I got this box set. And then it comes with some stills. I'm not going to get into all of that because otherwise this video will drag forever. But let me see if I can look on the back and see if we can see how many pages the book has. 250 pages. So, really nice edition. So that's the first one. I do have a little pile here of ghost books. I'm not a believer. I'm kind of like Fox Mulder. I want to believe in extraterrestrials and spirits and ghosts and all that stuff. I don't. I think it's fascinating to watch some of those shows, but I'm very, very skeptical. But I'm open to it. I would, if I could ever see one, and if I see something with my own eyes, I would talk about it. But I've never seen anything that resembled a ghost or an alien or a UFO or Bigfoot. But this was just kind of a tutorial book on how to ghost hunt when my daughters were younger. They're in their older teenage years now, my daughters. But when they were younger, probably like 10 to 15-ish, we had plans of getting like a little spirit box and stuff like that, so we can maybe hear some quote, air quote, voices from beyond, but we never really did get into that. But we had the book. And then here are some supernatural ghost stories. I picked this book up at Barnes & Noble a few years back. It was pretty cheap. I want to say it was probably less than $10. And this is a nice hardcover book. Has some spooky stories, tales, From Beyond the Grave. I flipped through that and read that one time. It was okay. Here's another book I picked up at Barnes & Noble. It was really cheap. It was $10. Plus I'm a member at Barnes & Noble, and you get I think 10% more off. So I got a little bit less than that. It comes with a nice dust jacket. It's a hardcover book. And as you guys know, everything's been oversaturated with zombie materials over the last 20 years. I still like zombies, but it's definitely oversaturated. This is a cool little book, though. Different little stories, and talks about some movies that were kind of pioneers in the genre. Different little tidbits, and it's a cool little book. For $10, it was definitely worth buying. Hardcover book like that. And then here's one called Monsters and Demons. It was probably about the same price. It's about the same size book. Also does have a dust jacket. And they're calling this a complete compendium of mythological beasts. So these are really cool. I like these little books. They call these coffee table books. They have little stories that you can, read. It doesn't take very long to read a little story at a time. Or you can sit and binge on this and probably read it in a night or in a couple nights, however you want to do it. Really cool stuff, though. Got that on the cheap. I'm glad to have that in the collection. I'm also fascinated by true crime and serial killers. And I sit and watch stuff on YouTube or Discovery Channel. A lot of the New Detectives and Unsolved Mysteries, stuff like that. There's a lot of different programs and documentaries on YouTube. And you always wonder what's going on through these minds of these people that would cause them to disregard a life and just kill multiple people. It's fascinating, and I don't mean that I'm not glorifying it. It's just, I think it's almost like a train wreck or a car accident. When you're driving by a car accident, you look and you're curious to see what happened, not because you're morbid. You just maybe don't want that to happen to you down the road. I'm not sure, but that's the same way I feel about these serial killers. And this was a very good read. This is about serial killer Danny Rolling from Florida, who is deceased now. He was electrocuted in Florida's electric chair. He was the son of a police officer, and he was raping and murdering and brutalizing women in the Florida college area in like dorms and stuff like that. He was decapitating women and cutting up their body parts and posing their bodies and putting their heads on shelves, and this man was very wacko. I wonder what went wrong. How did he take that path? And then here's another book about Danny Rolling, the Gainesville Ripper, the Gainesville Murderer. That's what they called him. This was written by a lady called Sandra London, and she was a pen pal, and she would visit Danny Rolling, and they wrote this book together. And she was selling this book online, I think probably 20 years ago. And I bought this directly from her. She didn't sign it or anything like that. But I got this directly from her. And again, it's a good read. If you're into that kind of stuff, if you like true crime and following serial killers like that, I think you'd get an enjoyment out of that. Let's see, what do we want to get into next? Here's a book called Dead Names, The Dark History of the Necronomicon. And it was signed by Simon. This is very rare now. I bought this when it first came out. I pre-ordered it. Again, it was probably 10 or 15 years ago. And it was only limited to $350, I believe. And I got in on pre-order. It sold out pretty quick. Anyway, there's Simon. He's into the occult, and he's an author about that kind of stuff. But this was limited to 350. The first 13 copies were numbered and lettered, and then the last, I don't know, whatever copies were just numbered in that circle. I got number 124. I think when this book came out, I paid like $49.95 for it, which at the time was pretty expensive. But this book's going for like $350 now, so it's a good read if you're into the occult and you like stuff like that. It's very, very interesting. It's a good nighttime read before you go to bed. So that is the Dark History of the Necronomicon by Simon. He only goes by Simon. He tries to keep a hidden persona. He doesn't want anybody to know his real name. And then here is the Necronomicon. This was also limited, but I think this was like the 3rd edition of it. The first edition came out in the 1970s, I believe, and that book is going for like a few $100. There was also a 2nd edition with a different cover, and this is the 3rd, I believe. This one's more affordable. You could probably get this for about $100 or right around there, maybe a little more, a little less. But this one came sealed, and I'd never opened it up. It says on the back that it was $125, but that's not what I paid for it when I bought this probably 10, 15 years ago. It's probably about that now, I would say. Haven't looked it up, but can't really say more about that because I didn't look at it. The next one is, I think I ordered this online as well. This is called the Tao Te Ching, and this is a Chinese proverb book. It's for kind of like meditation and positive thinking. It's kind of like the opposite of The Art of War. This was written 600 BC, I believe. And it's one of the most translated and published books in the world. It's translated in several languages, and they've issued several. See if I can give you guys a little. There's little sayings and meditation, and it's all positive thinking, and it's supposed to help you have clean mental health. If that makes any sense. It's supposed to help you with your positive thoughts. The Tao is the center of the universe, the good man's treasure, the bad man's refuge. It's a good read. And the next one is called Communicating with the Dead. This was a book I picked up used on eBay. And again, I was kind of, like 10 years ago or so, I was in the, I was in the mood to try to contact people with some of the ghost hunting apparatus that they have, but I never did get into it. And like I said, I was doing it more for my daughters because I really don't believe in that stuff. And people that see orbs, it's dust in my opinion, but I mean, who am I to tell you what to believe in? I only have my own beliefs. It's a good, nice little read too. And the next one is, this one was pretty cool. I really like this book. This is The Interpretation of Dreams by Sigmund Freud. And for a little bit, I was kind of into trying to decipher dreams. Have you ever had dreams that were so vivid that when you woke up, they felt like they were real? Or have you ever had a dream where you felt like you were in control in your dream, like you knew you were dreaming, so you would do things that you would never normally do in regular life? That's called dream control. And I was trying to get into that, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. They say everybody dreams at least 2 hours every night, even if you don't remember it. And a regular dream would last between 20 minutes to an hour. And you don't dream for the whole night, but it might seem like you do when you wake up and you think you were dreaming all night. You really were only having maybe several little dreams, but you probably don't dream more than 2 hours a night. That's what they say. That was a good read. I really enjoyed that. Let's see who put this one out. I thought this was like an Easton book or something, but it doesn't say. There's a nice gold guild. Yeah, it is Easton Press. It's got the leather cover. This was gifted to me. I don't remember. It was one of my aunts. I do have Italian in my family. I'm not 100% Italian, but I'm like maybe almost half Italian, I would say. And so we do a lot of cooking. And this, I do okay for cooking. I'm not great, but I can hold my own. But my mom and my grandma, she, you know, rest in peace, she passed away. She was the best cook ever. But this is just some little recipes and stuff like that. All Italian cuisine here. Maybe once we get done with this quarantine, if you guys want to come over to the Walnuts compound, I'll cook you up some Italian food. Maybe Turi can come over, because Turi's family makes authentic Italian gravy or spaghetti sauce. It's very, very good. This book here is awesome too. I live in the state of Wisconsin, and I think almost every state has a weird, and insert your state there. But there's some really cool stuff in here that you can find out about your own state. Local legends, supposedly haunts, you know, where they might have found, like this guy found dinosaur bones in Wisconsin somewhere. You know, it's almost kind of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not type book, where there's just a lot of different tidbits of information that you may not have known in your own backyard. You know, these are really cool books. I flipped through this one several times. This is very good. And I recommend, there's a couple of, that's Ed Gein, Butcher of Plainfield. He's from Wisconsin. There's Jeffrey Dahmer. He was 20 minutes from where I'm standing right now. He was in Milwaukee. So, I mean, there's a lot of mafia history here too in Milwaukee, in the Milwaukee area, in Racine, where I live, because it's in between Milwaukee and Chicago. So there was like they called it the Gangster Alley. There was a lot of Capone's boys and Dillinger and Lucky Luciano had property here in Wisconsin. So that's a good read. And I recommend you guys go find the book that's for your home state. Another fascinating topic in my world is Unsolved Mysteries. I watch a lot of this stuff too. Documentaries and programs on YouTube and TV. There's Easter Island. There's Houdini. He's from Wisconsin. Harry Houdini. And this is basically just kind of like a Ripley's Believe It or Not. It's kind of like a ripoff, but it's still cool. It's a rather thin book, and it's a hardcover book. It's funny that they would have such a thin hardcover book, but I like it. It's pretty cool. The next one is, I think this was purchased at Barnes & Noble too. It's one of these kind of a pop-up book. This is Vampirology. It's got like a little jewel in there, The True History of Fallen Ones. And when you open it up, there's kind of like a 3D show and tell or touch, kind of like, you know, there's like it's supposed to be a Polaroid picture. And then you open up the next page and it's like an interactive book basically. There's little things you can flip and turn and it's little things like that. It's a pretty cool little read. Little jewel in the sword. It's an actual, like a plastic blade in there. And they also had a mythology. That's one of my favorite topics. I love the Greek mythology. And it's another one of these kind of an interactive style book where you can flip different things and just fold out pages and maps and pictures. There's oak leaves. Supposed to be little leaves in there. Kind of a fun little coffee table style book. Little envelope in the back. There's a feather underneath there. An actual feather. They claim it's from the Pegasus, but of course we know there's no such thing as a Pegasus. Here's a little hardcover book called The Practical Guide to Monsters. I think it's called a chimera, or maybe not. Maybe that's something different. That's looks like a dragon, a mountain lion, and a goat, or a cougar. I'm not sure what that is. But this is another kind of one of these books where it just has like little stats and little reads. I love these kind of books like this. This is kind of almost a binder-sized book, and this one's called Dragonology, the Field Guide to Dragons. Different little pouches. Here's I think these were supposed to be dragon scales. Here's a European dragon. These are supposed to be Chinese dragon, but we must have lost the little pouch that went in there. This is a frost dragon. Oh, that's not in there either. Here's a gargoyle. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It's supposed to be dragon scales, I think. There's kind of a spiral book here. It just has, there's more stuff in there. This is a more of an interactive book, and this is something that you should probably, you know, do with your kids or something if you have kids or nieces or nephews, whatever. Have a little interaction with them with the book. Here's some more of the Greek myths. I'm going to pause it after this one and get a drink, and then I'll be right back. This is a 2-book box set authored by Robert Graves, the Greek Myths, the Folio Society. Really beautiful edition, heavy hard book, or outer shell there. And this is the Greek Myths 1. A lot of reading. Any kind of Greek god or goddess that you want to know about is in here. Let's see. This is from the London Folio Society. I don't remember if I imported this or if it was already here in the US, but it was the first folio was from 1996, and this was the 5th printing, the one that I have here, from 1998. And there's a Pegasus, Homer, the Olympian creation, 5 ages of man, Uranus, the birth of Aphrodite, Zeus and Hera, Hermes, Hera and her children Apollo, Artemis, and Dionysus, the birth of Eros, Poseidon, Aphrodite, Hermes, Apollo, Hephaestus, anything you can think of. All of the big stars of the Greek myth world, and I really love that set. It's one of my favorites. And then here's the volume 2. Same style. So I recommend that if you guys like your Greek gods and your mythology. That's definitely a must-have. So I'm going to take a few moments here to get a drink, and I'll be right back.